Hey Mavens, welcome back to the Menopause Mavens community. I'm Lisa, and I am your guide to your menopausal journey by focusing on gut health and body-mind stress management. So in this month, we're going to talk about sugar and how it affects our hormone balance. So sugar is a disaster for our hormone health. It can lead to weight gain, insulin resistance, mood imbalances, and hormone imbalance. One of the first things that I work with most of my clients is their blood sugar, and sugar is a disaster for our hormone health. It can lead to weight gain, insulin resistance, mood imbalances, and hormone imbalance. One of the first things that I work with most of my clients is their blood sugars. So our standard American diet that consists of processed foods, fast foods, and lots of sugary, tempting foods has led to many health issues and can really affect our menopause symptoms. So there is sugar in all kinds of foods, not just table sugar. It includes brown sugar, coconut sugar, white carbs like bread, pasta, agave, maple sugar, honey. Sugar is marketed in 101 different ways, and they come up in all kinds of forms on labels. And many sugar alternatives, some of them are only marginally healthier than table sugar, and some of them are actually more harmful than sugar. Processed sugars, whether natural or not, have an adverse effect on your blood sugar and in turn mess with your hormone balance. We're going to talk about how to detox your body and diet so that you can get back into your body balance, and we can have an occasional sweet treat once in a while once we're back in balance. So really, carbohydrates have been given a really raw deal. Carbohydrates are one of three essential macronutrients, including protein and fats. And carbohydrates are the primary source of energy that our bodies use. Our bodies are also very efficient at using other macronutrients, fat and protein, for energy, but we'll always use carbohydrates first. So why has carbohydrates become the bad guy? So one simple reason: food manufacturers. Sugar comes in many forms and is a very cheap ingredient, especially high fructose corn syrup. It makes food tasty and it makes you want more. You see, our bodies are designed to want sweets. Like I said, it's the primary source of energy. Our bodies break down carbohydrates into glucose that our cells use for energy. But when we ingest all the processed sugar and our blood sugars get a huge jolt, then they come crashing down. We want to get that energy boost back. So we go for more sugar. When we have an excess of glucose, we're going to store it in our muscles and our liver, and it can also turn to fat for future energy. It can only store so much in your muscles and your liver. Sugar is as addictive as cocaine. It literally spikes our dopamine levels, which are our feel-good hormones, so that when we eat more sugar, we crave more sugar because it is literally a drug in our body. So when we eat highly processed carbohydrates that turns quickly into sugar, we put ourselves at risk for all kinds of disease like diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, and you can increase our menopause symptoms, which I don't know if you've noticed, but when you eat more sugar, if I eat sugar, I definitely get hot flashes. But unfortunately, this has put all carbohydrates in the same evil category. But not all carbohydrates are bad. When we eat plant-based things like fruits, whole grains, potatoes, nuts, seeds, these foods contain beneficial nutrients, antioxidants, and gut-healthy fiber that slows down the release of sugar into our bloodstream so we don't get those spikes that sugar gives us. Fiber also acts as a broom for your intestines. So the insoluble fiber that we eat, it like sweeps our little colons and also feeds our good bacteria. Eating plant-based foods helps to heal your gut, feed your microbiome, which produces what's called butyrate. So when you are eating a lot of plant-based foods and your gut bacteria is healthy, it produces a short-chain fatty acid called butyrate. We went through this in last month with the intermittent fasting. It was also beneficial for that. So as we saw, butyrate helps lower inflammation, heals your gut lining, and also helps to protect your brain function. So eat your veggies, people. Now, if you've been eating a lot of processed foods and are insulin resistant, then you want to give your body a break from too many carbohydrates. You can actually ask your doctor to do an insulin test, because I believe the doctors should be testing insulin and not just blood glucose, because your blood glucose can maintain at a certain level, but your insulin levels might be higher just to keep those blood sugars at a certain level. So the higher the insulin, all of a sudden it can't take care of the job anymore and it flips and you become diabetic. So we want to give your body the chance to normalize so that you have more of a normal response when you eat any carbohydrates. So how do you know if you need a sugar detox? So, how do you know you need a sugar detox? So, do you crave carbs and sugar? Do you have dark circles under your eyes, or wake up tired, or have that afternoon crash where you're wanting to reach for the sweets? Do you get constipated, have gas, bloating, all those nice digestive issues, hot flashes, headaches with your menopause symptoms, or maybe your moods are kind of all over the place? And also remember that sugar affects our gut. So, do you get sick a lot? That's where a lot of our immune system is, or the dreaded weight gain. So, we do know that sugar is bad for our health, but how does it affect our hormones? When we eat sugar in any form, our body produces insulin to process the sugar and get the glucose into our cells to use for energy. Insulin is one of our major hormones that works so hard to give us life-sustaining energy. So when you're eating a diet high in sugar, then your insulin has to keep increasing to keep your blood sugars in check. As you keep pumping out insulin, then your cells become more resistant. There's receptors on the cells, and they don't react to insulin as efficiently as the insulin keeps getting higher and higher. It just becomes numb to it. And as you keep producing insulin, remember, it is also a fat storage hormone. So the more insulin you're producing, the more body weight you're going to put on, especially around the middle. And you will start to gain body fat. As your body fat increases, you become more insulin resistant. It's like the fat covers up those insulin receptors. So when your body can't keep up with the blood sugar levels as you keep having to produce more and more insulin, then you run the risk of becoming diabetic. Insulin resistance is one step below diabetes. It's basically pre-diabetic, and sugar is the main culprit. So when it comes to menopause, when insulin levels keep spiking, it reduces the production of an essential protein that regulates estrogen and testosterone in our blood. When you don't have enough of this protein to bind to estrogen and testosterone, then the levels of these hormones rises in our blood. And remember, even though we're producing less estrogen, we're still producing estrogen. And if it's not being metabolized right by, having too high of insulin, or your gut bacteria is all out of whack, we talked about that before, then your progesterone starts to get out of whack with estrogen and testosterone. This is what's called estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance doesn't mean that you have too much estrogen. You're producing too much estrogen. It just means that your progesterone levels and your estrogen levels are out of balance. The progesterone is higher, or the estrogen is higher than the progesterone. And progesterone is your hormone that helps us to stay calm, happy, and relaxed. So a common symptom of menopause is anxiety. I have experienced it. It's not a fun feeling. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. This leads to sleep problems, mood swings, and weight gain are also symptoms of estrogen dominance. So you can see how cutting out sugar can have a profound effect on how we move through menopause and the symptoms that wreak havoc on our health, our weight, and our state of mind. So let's look at how you can break the sugar habit and start detoxifying sugar from your diet. I'm going to give you 10 tips and tricks to help kick sugar to the curb. So number 1, drink more water. But it makes our body system work way more efficiently. It makes you feel fuller throughout the day. It reduces your food intake. So have a glass of water before you eat. And it also helps reduce sugar cravings. Second one is to eat a well-balanced meal. When you provide your body with everything it needs to function properly, then you can stop cravings. Cravings are a result of deficiencies in your body. So when you eat a well-balanced meal, you're going to feel less likely to indulge in sugary treats. So you want to include a good quality protein and a healthy fat and a good quality low glycemic, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, carbohydrate to help keep your insulin spikes down and keep your cravings down. If you're insulin resistant, you're going to want to eat more low glycemic carbohydrates. Low glycemic means that these foods have a slower release of glucose in your blood as it's digested. So sugar is rated as 100. So strive for foods that are 50 or less. I would say less. And you can easily search for low glycemic foods lists online. So even things like berries, you can still eat fruit, but just go for the lower glycemic. And berries are a really good choice for that because they're pretty low in the glycemic index. Third, you want to eat less at night. Eating a heavy meal before bed can result in heartburn, indigestion, and acid reflux that interfere with your sleep. Remember also in our intermittent fasting lesson, we talked about how eating late at night also messes with our circadian rhythms. So poor sleep results in poor food choices. I know when I am sleep deprived, I want to eat sugar throughout the day. You're going to start to reach for sugar as you feel your exhaustion kick in because you want that boost in energy. With that being said, also keep your caffeine consumption to 1, maybe tops 2 cups of coffee without any sugar in it. Too much caffeine can affect your energy levels and your sleep. And when you have inconsistent energy levels, you always have those spikes and those crashes, you're going to crave sugar. Exercise is an excellent alternative to stimulants like caffeine and sugar. When you move your body, your mitochondria in your cells, which are the powerhouse of your cells, right, release feel-good endorphins to keep your energy levels constant and up throughout the day in a natural form, not in unnatural. Sugar is just a temporary boost in energy followed by a crash, so you don't want that. Try to manage your stress. I know stress happens, but there's definitely tools we can use to manage our stress. A lot of people tend to go for sugar when you're feeling stressed because remember it releases that dopamine. It acts on your brain and with those pleasure centers. So it's a comfort to us. So try your breathing meditations or going for a walk in nature. Take note of what your stressors are and come up with alternatives to managing the situations. Also, fear and anxiety can cause addictions, and sugar is as addictive, remember, as cocaine. When we eat too much sugar, it causes a roller coaster in our moods. Use your meditations to manage your stress and tackle, any kind of fear and anxiety. And of course, letting go of sugar is going to help with that anxiety. Affirmations are also a very good tool. Try EFT, which stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It's a tapping technique. I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to try and do a workshop here in the next few months on EFT to show you some tapping techniques. You can look up EFT or tapping and it'll show you a basic, you're tapping, and it helps to deal with stress, emotional distress, and physical pain. It has been shown to balance our body's energy systems, and it helps a lot with anxiety and addictions. And next, you want to show yourself some love. Besides going for food, do things that bring you peace and joy. Look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself good things. Celebrate your accomplishments with something besides chocolate. And when we're comfortable in our own skin, you're going to reduce the need for self-comfort with food and sugary treats. You also want to realign your focus. When we're constantly thinking or obsessing about food or when we're going to eat again, let me tell you, that's all you're going to think about. And it's going to drive you crazy. So when this starts to happen, try starting a project Drink some water, go for a walk, get away from the cupboard and the temptation. Come up with a few things that you can do to realign that focus. There are so many benefits of reducing sugar in your diet that I hope this will inspire you to shift away from this harmful substance. So some of the benefits, your skin's going to glow. You're going to look younger. You're going to feel more natural energy, not jittery or anxious. You're going to lose that unwanted belly weight. You're going to increase your immunity so you don't get sick as often. You're going to improve your gut health, all those digestive issues. You're going to be less moody, and you're going to reduce those hot flashes because sugar is definitely a cause of hot flashes. So try cutting it out, detox from that sugar, and see how much better you feel. It's going to be totally worth it. I promise you. So there are many products on the market that make it seem like they're better alternative to sugar, when in reality, they're sugar as well. So for example, honey, agave, maple syrup, dried fruit, coconut sugar, these are high in fructose and can affect your blood sugar and insulin levels. These sugars are less processed than table sugar, but can still affect your hormone balance. So it is recommended that women consume no more than 25 grams of fructose per day. This doesn't mean total carbs. This means sugar, fructose. This is about 2 tablespoons of honey or maple syrup a day. So remember I told you about plant-based foods and the fiber and slowing down the glycemic index. So, that honey or maple syrup, it still has a pretty high glycemic index. So that's why we want to limit it to at least 2 tablespoons a day. If you're insulin resistant, I would even recommend maybe half of that. Fruit is a different story because it has the fiber to slow down the uptake of sugar into your blood. Fiber also feeds your healthy gut bacteria, unlike sugar that feeds your bad bacteria. So go for the healthier variety. If you want something sweet, go for some berries or something. If you do like sweeteners in your baking or coffee or something, try monk fruit. It's unlike any other sweeteners. Monk fruit sweetness comes from an antioxidant called, I'm going to totally butcher this one, magrosides. Monk fruit extracts is rated as 0 on the glycemic index. Remember that sugar is 100 and we want to go for low glycemic. Try monk fruit. It is a 0, which is really nice. It has 0 calories and 0 carbs, so it won't spike your blood sugars at all. It's great to use as a sweetener in your smoothies. You can make sweet treats out of it, and it won't mess with your hormones. So if you have to have something sweet, go for the monk fruit. Get savvy about reading labels. There are so many hidden sources of sugar, so make sure that you are reading your labels. If you don't recognize it, don't eat it. There's so many different names for sugars that, and really look for things like high fructose corn syrup. That one's easy to identify. And just really get savvy at reading those labels. So things like beverages, bread, cereals, dried fruit, granola bars, pancakes, protein bars, restaurant foods, sauces and dressings, sweetened dairy and non-dairy products, those all are loaded with sugar. So just keep in mind even granola bars, it sounds like that's a healthy thing to eat. They're full of sugar. Just look at it. If I've done an exercise with children and I take a baggie and I put the amount of sugar that's in each product. So for example, I did a soda, I did a Cliff Bar, I did a yogurt, like your standard, like Yoplait yogurt. And I made little baggies full of sugar. And let me tell you, it's quite shocking to see how much sugar is in each product. Because then I have the kids pair up the bags of sugar with the item. They always get the soda has the most, but they don't understand that like Cliff Bars have a ton of sugar. It was like the next one down when in the array of products that I was putting out there. And they were shocked to see how much sugar was in a Cliff Bar. And those Cliff Bars are fine if you're doing like you're climbing a mountain and you're going on a big massive hike or something. That's what those are designed for. It's not designed for every day, just like snacking. It's horrible on the sugar. So keep in mind when you're looking at those labels. So you always want to check those labels to find out how much sugar is in each product. The best foods to eat are always the ones that come straight from nature. They don't have their own labels. So when you eat a balanced meal of good protein, plant-based foods, and healthy fats, you're going to not have any problem kicking sugar to the curb. So I'm not going to lie, the first 3 days are the hardest as your body keeps calling out for that sugar boost, but just stick with it and you're going to feel so much more energy, feel so much better, sleep better, have balanced moods, and you're going to start to lose that unwanted weight. I swear it's going to be worth it to you. So with that, that's it for our workshop. Make sure you download those recipes, try them out. There's a lot of great plant-based foods in there, all healthy, straight from nature. You can follow that suggested meal plan. Make sure you download your meditation. Keeping yourself feeling calm and peaceful. You're not going to want to reach for that sugar as much. And I'd love to see how you're doing. Please share your journey with us in the Facebook group. And we'll catch you next month, Mavens. Take care.